Hi guys, it's Miss Melanie. I'm going to read you one of my favorite stories today, and it's Raven and Seagull. As we know, Raven is a trickster. Sometimes his tricks get him in trouble, sometimes his tricks are helpful to people. So let's read this story and figure it out. One day, Seagull became jealous of the daylight. He longed to possess it and keep it all to himself. He called upon his supernatural treasure to help him capture the daylight. After Seagull had caught the daylight, he rolled it into a ball and carried it into his house and hid it in a large wooden chest. When he closed the heavy lid, the world plunged into darkness, the longest, blackest night there had ever been. All the animal people blundered about in the darkness. They had to feel their way around, and it was nearly impossible to find food. They suffered and they starved. Finally, Raven, who was also wandering about in the darkness, catching his long beak in the bushes and the trees, decided he must do something to help the people. Raven knew what had really happened to the daylight. He gathered the people and he spoke to them. "I know where the daylight is gone," said Raven, "and I am the only one who can bring it back. But you must all hold me in your good thoughts as I go about this task." As Raven groped about on his way to the nearby beach, he began to form a tricky plan to recapture the daylight from Seagull. In the tide pools, Raven carefully searched until he found some small sea urchins. Raven gathered many sea urchins and put them in a basket he had brought along with him. When the basket was full, Raven sucked the tender flesh out of the sea urchins, saving the sharp, spiny shells. Then he felt his way through the darkness to the house of Seagull. Outside the door, Raven called out in a loud voice, "Ah! It's Raven! Seagull! Seagull! Come out and greet me!" Seagull heard Raven's voice, but he was not fond of Seagull. He was not fond of Raven. Raven always stayed too long, and he ate more than his fair share, and he sang too loud. But Seagull knew he must greet his cousin properly, or people would be mad at him for being stingy and disrespectful to his family. So Seagull shuffled out to meet Raven. Meanwhile, Raven had scattered the sharp sea urchin's spines all around the front door of Seagull's house. As Seagull stepped through the door, one of his big, fat feet came down upon a shell. "Ow! Ow! Ow!" he cried as his other foot came down upon more sharp spines. Seagull tumbled back into the house, yelling at the top of his voice, "My feet! My feet! My poor, poor feet! Oh, they hurt! They hurt! They hurt!" And here's a picture of Seagull stepping on those shells. Stepping over the sea urchins, Raven quickly slipped into the house. "My dear cousin, whatever is the matter?" asked Raven. "My feet! My feet! My poor, poor feet!" cried Seagull, hopping from one foot to the other. "They hurt! They hurt!" "Let me help you," crooned Raven as he reached out and grabbed Seagull by his skinny leg. "Even in the darkness, I can tell you have something sticking in your foot." "Yes, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts," whined Seagull. "If I just had a knife, I might be able to help you," said Raven, smiling to himself. "I think he's up to no good." "Here, take this," cried Seagull as he handed Raven a small knife he always wore around his neck. Raven quickly turned Seagull upside down and began to dig roughly at Seagull's foot with the knife. Seagull screamed and he flapped his wings until the house was filled with his feathers. "My feet! My feet! My poor, poor feet!" cried Seagull. "They hurt! They hurt! They hurt!" "If I had a little bit of light, I might be able to get that done quicker." Over there, squawked Seagull as he flapped his wings in the directions of the wooden chest. Open it! Open the chest, but only let out a little bit. Raven scurried to the chest and eased the lid up until a crack of daylight shined through the room. He ran back and began to dig once more at Seagull's foot. My feet, they hurt, they hurt. If only I had more light, I could work quickly and be done with this, said Raven, with a smile on his face. Open the chest a little more. Open the chest, said Seagull, but be careful. Don't let the light out. Raven went to the chest and raised the lid further. The room grew brighter. Back he ran to Seagull, where he tugged at the spines in the old bird's feet. Ow! Cried Seagull. It hurts! It hurts! I can't get them out. It's just not light enough for me to see the spines in your feet. Open the chest! Open the chest! Squawked Seagull. His voice was hoarse from screaming when he could hardly be understood. With that, Raven rushed across the room, threw back the lid of the chest, and watched happily as the daylight spilled out. Once again, the world was bright and beautiful. There's a picture of Raven. The animal people rejoiced. Raven had tricked the old Seagull and had freed the daylight. But what became of Seagull? He never quite got over the sea urchin's spines in his feet. To this day, if you're at the beach and you watch him, you can see Seagull walking as if his feet still hurt. And you can hear him crying, my feet, my poor, poor feet. Here's a picture of Raven trying to get the spines out of Seagull's feet. And once again, Raven pulled a trick. But this time it was for the good of the people. He brought the sunlight back